In the desolate chill of a Philadelphia winter morning, a macabre discovery shattered the quiet, sleepy landscape of Fox Chase. A young hunter, checking his muskrat traps on February 25, 1957, stumbled upon something that would forever haunt the city: a small, naked body, discarded within a cardboard box. This was not just a crime scene, it was the opening act of an enduring American mystery, a chilling narrative of a child abandoned, forgotten, and for decades, unnamed. The hunter, a young man named Frederick Benonize, initially dismissed the box as trash, but something compelled him to look closer. The image that greeted him was unspeakable. Inside, tucked amongst a tattered blanket, lay the tiny, bruised corpse of a boy, estimated to be between 4 and 6 years old. His eyes were open, staring blankly upwards. The sheer depravity of the act, the casual discard of a human life, immediately set a grim tone for what would become Philadelphia's most heartbreaking cold case. The boy was found wrapped in a cheap plaid blanket, a telltale sign of a hurried, desperate attempt to conceal him. The box itself, an old J.C. Penney bassinet carton, became an unwitting symbol of his lost innocence and the brutal end of his short life. From the very beginning, the case was steeped in an unnerving silence. No missing persons reports seemed to match the boy's description. He was a ghost before he was even discovered, an invisible child whose existence only became tragically apparent in his death. Police swarmed the remote wooded area near Susquehanna Road, meticulously searching for clues. They found nothing beyond the boy and his humble, grim container. No footprints, no tire tracks, no disturbed earth that might offer a hint of the perpetrator. It was as if the boy, and the box he was found in, had simply materialized out of thin air, a horrifying apparition in the crisp morning air. This stark absence of evidence became the case's defining characteristic, a void that swallowed every initial investigative lead and left seasoned detectives reeling. The initial forensic examination painted a devastating picture. The boy was severely malnourished, weighing a mere 30 pounds. His body bore multiple bruises, consistent with abuse, particularly on his head and torso. Investigators noted distinctive surgical scars, one on his ankle, another on his groin, suggesting he had received medical attention at some point, perhaps for a childhood illness or injury. Most strikingly, his hair had been crudely cut, short and uneven, likely just before or shortly after his death, an attempt to alter his appearance. His fingernails and toenails were also recently clipped. These details, while specific, offered no immediate path to identification. They were fragments of a life, brutally interrupted, scattered across a desolate landscape. The medical examiner concluded he died from blunt force trauma, but the exact instrument or manner remained unknown. Each mark, each missing pound, each uneven strand of hair, was a desperate plea from the past, echoing a story that refused to be told. The lack of leads quickly propelled the case into the public consciousness, but without a name, the boy remained an enigma. He became known simply as America's Unknown Child, or, more colloquially and heartbreakingly, the boy in the box. Police distributed thousands of flyers bearing his post-mortem photograph, pleading for information. His image, haunting and somber, stared out from newspapers and television screens, a silent appeal to a nation. Yet, no one claimed him. No one seemed to miss him. This profound anonymity amplified the tragedy, suggesting a level of isolation so complete it verged on the unspeakable. How could a child simply vanish without a trace from the world of the living, only to reappear, lifeless and anonymous, in a forgotten corner of Philadelphia? The early investigation was a relentless, yet ultimately fruitless, endeavor. Detectives worked tirelessly, following every whisper, every phone call, every potential lead. They checked orphanages, hospitals, and foster homes across the region. They scoured records of missing children. Every avenue led to a dead end, every glimmer of hope extinguished by a lack of concrete connection. The case became a torment for those involved, a persistent shadow in their professional lives. Lieutenant Frank Powell, one of the original investigators, carried the weight of the boy in the box with him for decades, returning to the crime scene year after year, hoping for a new insight, a forgotten detail that might finally break the silence. His dedication mirrored the city's enduring fascination, a communal ache for a resolution. As the years turned into decades, the official police investigation began to wane, but the memory of the boy in the box never faded. The case entered the realm of urban legend, a chilling tale whispered in Philadelphia, a constant reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the veneer of ordinary life. But it also captured the attention of a unique group of individuals, the Vidic Society. Founded in 1990 by 3 forensic professionals, a polygraph expert, a former FBI agent, and a forensic artist, the Vidic Society dedicated itself to solving cold, unsolved murders, particularly those where the victim was unidentified. They took on the boy in the box case as their unofficial mascot, their most enduring challenge. Their approach was unconventional, relying on the collective expertise of dozens of specialists from diverse fields, bringing fresh eyes and new technologies to evidence that had long gone cold. For them, identifying this boy became a crusade, a testament to the idea that no victim, no matter how forgotten, should remain nameless. Over the years, numerous theories emerged, each more unsettling than the last, attempting to explain the boy's tragic fate. One of the most persistent and compelling was the foster home hypothesis. This theory centered on a foster home located just a mile and a half from where the boy's body was found. In the early 1960s, a woman known only as Martha or M approached investigators with a disturbing story. She claimed her mother, a foster parent, had purchased the boy from his birth parents, an itinerant carnival couple, in the summer of 1954. The boy, who she called Jonathan, was allegedly kept isolated and subjected to severe abuse in the home, never permitted outside, constantly beaten and starved. She described specific details of his appearance and injuries that aligned eerily with the autopsy report, including his crude haircut and the presence of similar-looking blankets to the one found with his body. According to Martha's testimony, one evening, her mother flew into a rage and beat the boy until he was unconscious. Martha witnessed the event, claiming she was forced to help clean up the scene and dispose of the body. They allegedly wrapped the boy in a blanket, placed him in the J.C. Penney bassinet box, a box coincidentally stored in their basement, and drove him to the secluded Fox Chase location. Her account was incredibly detailed, almost too perfect, and investigators found several inconsistencies. Her mother vehemently denied the claims, and despite extensive searching of the property, including digging up the backyard, no corroborating physical evidence was ever found to definitively link the foster home to the boy. The lack of concrete evidence meant this harrowing narrative, while deeply unsettling, remained in the realm of theory, adding another layer of frustration to an already agonizing case. It highlighted the grim reality that even with compelling witness accounts, without irrefutable proof, the truth can remain agonizingly out of reach. Another significant, yet equally elusive, theory surfaced decades later. This involved a different woman who, like Martha, came forward with a confession, claiming knowledge of the boy's true identity and circumstances. This confessor, whose name was kept private, suggested the boy belonged to a dysfunctional family living in the immediate area. Her account spoke of chronic abuse within the household and an accidental death, followed by a panicked attempt to dispose of the body. She provided names and specific locations, sparking a renewed burst of investigative activity. However, much like the foster home theory, investigators struggled to corroborate her claims with forensic evidence. While her story resonated with the known details of the boy's injuries and the location of his discovery, it too lacked the irrefutable proof necessary to move beyond a strong suspicion. The historical context of Philadelphia in the mid-20th century, a city both of grand architecture and burgeoning industry, and one with hidden social strata, provided fertile ground for such dark secrets. As D. Burton Emerson explored in his analysis of George Lippard's The Quaker City, the city harbored a disjointed text of its own, where public facades often concealed the dismembered bodies of its hidden sorrows and private brutalities, a stark backdrop for a tragedy like that of the boy in the box. For decades, the boy in the box remained a poignant symbol of the anonymous victim, his case a haunting testament to the limits of traditional police work. His face, reconstructed by forensic artists, became an iconic image of unresolved grief. The gravesite, initially marked only by America's Unknown Child, was carefully maintained by community members, a silent vigil against forgetfulness. Even as technology advanced, the original DNA samples from the 1950s were too degraded to yield useful information. The case seemed destined to remain an eternal cold case, a chilling footnote in the annals of criminal history. But the relentless dedication of a few, particularly the members of the Vidic Society and persistent Philadelphia police detectives, meant the file was never truly closed. They held on to a desperate hope that one day, science would catch up to the sheer enormity of the mystery. That hope began to crystallize with the advent of genetic genealogy, a revolutionary new approach that leverages public DNA databases to identify individuals through their distant relatives. In 1998, the boy's body was exhumed for the first time, allowing investigators to collect new samples that, while still challenging, held more promise. Then, in 2016, spurred by the breakthroughs in other cold cases like the Golden State Killer, the Philadelphia Police Department and the Vidic Society began a concerted effort to apply these cutting-edge techniques to the boy in the box. This required another exhumation in 2018, this time with even more advanced forensic techniques available. The journey was painstaking. It involved extracting mitochondrial DNA, which is passed down through the maternal line, and Y chromosome DNA, passed down through the paternal line, from the boy's remains. These fragments of genetic code were then uploaded to public genealogy databases. It was a race against time, a search through millions of anonymous genetic profiles, painstakingly building family trees, tracing lineages back generations to find common ancestors. This laborious process, which could take years, was spearheaded by genetic genealogist Misty Gillis and the diligent work of the Philadelphia police. Each match, no matter how distant, was a thread in a tapestry being woven back into existence, slowly but surely pulling the boy out of the abyss of anonymity. Finally, on December 6, 2022, after 65 years of relentless pursuit, the Philadelphia Police Department made a historic announcement that sent ripples across the nation. America's unknown child had a name. He was identified as Joseph Augustus Sorelli. This breakthrough was the culmination of decades of tireless effort, a testament to the power of modern science and human perseverance. The identification was made possible through advanced DNA analysis and extensive genealogical research, leading investigators to his biological parents and, eventually, to direct family members. While his parents had passed away long before the identification, the knowledge of his name provided an immeasurable sense of closure for the many who had dedicated their lives to his case. The boy who had been a symbol of anonymous suffering now had a recognized identity, a place in the historical record. With Joseph Augustus Sorelli's name finally revealed, the focus of the investigation shifted dramatically. No longer was it a search for who was he, but rather what happened to Joseph, and who was responsible. The identification opened up a whole new realm of inquiry, allowing detectives to delve into the lives of his biological parents and their families. Records that were previously meaningless without a name now held potential significance. Investigators began to meticulously reconstruct Joseph's short life, piecing together fragments of his existence from family accounts, old photographs, and forgotten documents. Early indications from family interviews and records suggested a hidden world of neglect and potentially abuse within his immediate household. The surgical scars on his body, the severe malnutrition, and the crude haircut now became pieces of a larger, more coherent, yet still tragic, puzzle. The theory emerging pointed to a household where Joseph might have suffered from neglect or direct harm, leading to his untimely death. The decision to discard his body in the desolate Fox Chase woods then becomes a desperate, panicked act to conceal a horrific truth. The secrecy that had shrouded his existence for over 6 decades began to unravel, exposing a story that was likely far more commonplace and heartbreaking than the more sensational theories of carnival parents or serial killers. It was a story of a child who existed on the margins, invisible to the larger world, until his brutal end forced his silent presence into the public consciousness. Despite the monumental achievement of identifying Joseph Augustus Sorelli, the ultimate question of who directly caused his death and why his body was abandoned remains officially unanswered. His biological parents are deceased, making direct prosecution impossible. However, the investigation continues, driven by the desire to fully understand the circumstances of his death and to hold accountable anyone else who may have been involved or complicit. The legacy of The Boy in the Box endures as a stark reminder of the vulnerable children who exist in the hidden corners of society, and the profound impact of their suffering. Joseph's story is a chilling testament to how easily a life can be erased, and how powerfully it can resurface, decades later, demanding justice. His identification provides a measure of peace, but it also casts a long, ominous shadow, raising new questions about the darkest secrets families can keep. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that even in plain sight, tragedies can unfold silently, hidden from the world. Joseph Augustus Sorelli, the boy once known only by the box he was found in, has finally reclaimed his name. But his story, a profound mystery rooted in the dark annals of Philadelphia, continues to produce an unsettling echo, a haunting reminder of the unnamed child and the elusive nature of truth. What other silent victims lie forgotten, waiting for science to finally give them a voice?